Bible readers! I'm TARA-LEIGH COBBLE, and I am so excited to be the first to welcome you to the Bible Recap for Kids. We have 2 short prep episodes to fill you in on everything you need to know about TBR Kids. Grown-ups, this episode is for you. But kids, we have one for you too, so be sure to check that out. I want to introduce you to my friend Emily, or Miss Emily for the kids. We've been friends for over a decade, and she's worked with our team at TBR since 2023. Miss Emily, will you tell us a little bit about your background working with kids?
I'd love to, TARA-LEIGH. Since I was a teenager, I have absolutely loved working with kids. I've worked in kids' summer camps, children's theaters, in children's museum education, and then as an adult, I've been a classroom teacher, a literacy specialist, an instructional coach, and a school administrator. And out of everything that I've ever been able to teach kids, what I love most is teaching them about Jesus. Now, maybe you've heard of the Bible Recap before, and maybe you haven't, so let me talk to each of you. If you're here because you do the Bible Recap with us, you're probably really excited for your kids to join you as you read through the Bible. And we are excited to give you a helpful tool that's on your kids' level. But if you're brand new to all things TBR, that's what we call the Bible Recap for short. TARA-LEIGH, can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. The Bible Recap is a short daily recap that follows a 365-day chronological Bible reading plan. TBR highlights and summarizes that day's reading in a casual, easy-to-understand way. And TBR first launched as a podcast, then we made it into a book for those who prefer a tactile experience, then we turned it into a YouTube video series. And over time, as we've had more and more families join us in reading through the whole Bible together, we've begun developing an entire line for kids. That line started with our first 2 printed resources, the Bible Recap Kids Devotional, which is for younger kids ages 6 and up, and the Bible Recap for Kids, which is for older kids ages 8 and up. This podcast is based on the Bible Recap for Kids book, but we think kids of other ages might like it too. And if you want an added level of engagement for your family, kids can follow along in either book, but you do not need to pick that up. You can find everything you need online for free, either via our podcast channels, our YouTube channel, or our website, thebiblerecap.com.
The Bible is the most amazing book ever written, and we want kids to be excited to dig into it for themselves. Imagine what your life would have been like if you had started reading through the whole Bible when you were a kid, and you really felt like you could understand it and even come to love it as a kid. And maybe that happened for you, but for most of us, that is not our story. Most of us has struggled with this even as adults, and that's exactly why we're creating these resources to help your kids get a head start in knowing and loving God and His Word. The Bible Recap for Kids is designed to help young readers read, understand, and love the Bible, all at an age-appropriate level.
TBR Kids follows the same 365-day chronological reading plan as our original podcast, book, and YouTube. So that means your whole family can stay on the same page, literally, as you read the Bible together. But that's not the only way to use this podcast.
Right. As wonderful and transformative as daily Bible reading is, please know that your kids can work through the Bible at the pace that makes the most sense for them and for you. Each day starts with a suggested Bible reading that averages 3 chapters. Your child may want to read the passages on their own, or they may prefer to listen to an audio version of those Bible chapters. Listening is a great option, particularly for emerging readers. Depending on the audio version and Bible translation you choose, listening to the audio of each day's Bible reading takes an average of 12 minutes per day.
Even though we'll follow a chronological reading plan together, I want to give you a quick word of caution. You do not need to buy a special Bible for this. And in fact, most chronological Bibles are laid out differently from the plan we're doing. So please don't just pick up any chronological Bible and assume it will align. If you do want to get a chronological Bible for this, we've designed one that fits with our plan and includes the recaps built in along the way. You can find that in our store at thebiblerecap.com. But again, you do not need to buy it. You can do it all for free online. And speaking of Bibles, let's talk a little bit about translation options. If you've done the original TBR with us, you probably know we've based it on the ESV, the English Standard Version. The ESV aims to be a word-for-word translation, and we think it's a solid mix of readability and precision. That said, it's good to know that the ESV is essentially a high school reading level text.
So you may find that other popular translations are a bit more accessible for your kids. I'm going to mention a few options and give you some estimated reading levels, but don't worry if this doesn't reflect your child's experience or yours. Generally, the NIV is about an 8th grade reading level, the NLT is about a 6th grade reading level, and the NIRV is about a 3rd grade reading level.
In TBR Kids, each day's recap starts with a Bible verse. Most often, Miss Emily will read that verse from the New Living Translation, but sometimes the ESV or the NIV or the NIRV. All that to say, feel free to use your family's preferred translation of the Bible.
And something else to keep in mind is that most kids can comprehend what they hear at a significantly higher level than what they can read independently. So if you're listening to the Bible reading each day, no matter what translation you listen to, you might be surprised at how much they pick up.
That brings us to another important note. The Bible covers a lot of challenging topics, and you may feel that some passages are too mature for your child. This may include things like the well-known passages in Song of Solomon and in Revelation, and it might also include some lesser-known passages like Ezekiel 23.
In the daily recaps, we handle challenging topics as faithfully and carefully as we can. Here's an example for you. If adultery is a topic in that day's reading, we might say something like, "He took someone else's wife and acted like she was his own." But of course, the Bible itself will actually use the word adultery. So something you might consider, especially if you're reading and recapping as a family, is you read the text first and then prepare your child with information you'd like them to know about challenging topics before they read. Or you could choose just some of the passages from the day's reading and read them to your family. We believe that parents and guardians are best equipped to guide your child's Bible reading. You'll be the best one to determine how to handle any conversations or questions that might come up when your child approaches new ideas or challenging topics. We believe that God's Word has benefits for everyone who engages with it, and we are so excited to be on this journey with you and your families.
We believe that when you read the Bible as a story about God, as you get to know what He says in His Word, you and your kids are going to fall in love with Him.
You and your kids are going to be drawn in all the more day by day. You're going to really start to look forward to your time in His Word.
You and the kids you love are going to start seeing Him in a whole new way, and when that happens, you'll be transformed by joy, because
He's where the joy is.